This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, first, the United States and China reach a landmark deal to curb fentanyl precursor chemicals aimed at slowing America's deadly opioid epidemic. In Asia, Chinese President Xi Jinping hosts Spain's King Felipe VI in Beijing, the first visit by a Spanish monarch in 18 years, boosting long-standing diplomatic ties. Meanwhile, Russia announces plans to resume talks with the United States over the Ukraine conflict based on understandings between Presidents Putin and Trump. In Africa, South Africa's finance minister rejects U.S. President Donald Trump's claims of genocide against white South Africans, calling them false and dangerous. In the Philippines, Senator Imee Marcos warns that witnesses in the Blue Ribbon Committee probe are being coerced to withdraw their statements, including one of the earliest witnesses, Orly Guteza. The probe continues. Zaldy Co is named in an ongoing infrastructure inquiry into flood control projects that may lead to court proceedings. And in entertainment, Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot receives Israel's prestigious Genesis Prize for her advocacy and humanitarian work. I'm Franco Baranda. Newsline World starts now. The United States and China have struck a new agreement to crack down on fentanyl precursor chemicals, a move officials hope will slow the deadly opioid epidemic in America. Let's find out more from Angel Pastor.
Following Director Kash Patel of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI's visit to China, Beijing has agreed to tighten controls on chemicals used to produce fentanyl, a major step in combating the opioid crisis that claims thousands of American lives each year. After meeting with his Chinese counterparts, Patel announced at the White House China will designate all 13 fentanyl precursors and regulate 7 chemical subsidiaries involved in producing the deadly drug. Patel also noted that the agreement is a result of recent discussions between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping during their meeting in South Korea. He added that these chemicals are now banned from entering the United States and can no longer be used by Mexican or other drug trafficking organizations to manufacture fentanyl. During his visit, Patel met with Chinese Vice Minister of Public Security Xu Datung to ensure China's commitments are implemented. In exchange, the U.S. has reduced tariffs on Chinese goods related to fentanyl from 20% to 10%. By focusing on the production and export of fentanyl precursors, China and the U.S. aim to curb the deadly epidemic, strengthen bilateral cooperation, and protect millions of lives from the harmful effects of opioids. Reporting for Newsline World, Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
The U.S. government shutdown may be over, but its impact on air travel continues, with hundreds of flights canceled or delayed nationwide as aviation authorities orders airlines to reduce operations due to a shortage of air traffic controllers. This report from Eva Montero.
Despite the U.S. House of Representatives approving a continuing resolution on Wednesday to fund the government through the 30th of January 2026, the crisis in the United States continues, particularly with widespread disruptions to air travel. Due to a shortage of air traffic controllers, the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, has ordered airlines to reduce their flights. Initially affecting 40 major airports on 7th of November, the cuts were extended this week to 6% of flight operations, including airports in Chicago, New York, Washington, Atlanta, and Dallas-Fort Worth. On Wednesday, 890 flights were canceled and 750 more were delayed, and on Tuesday, over 1,200 flights were canceled, while 1,650 domestic and international flights experienced delays. Meanwhile, air traffic controllers continue to report to work despite going unpaid for 40 days. According to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, it could take several days before airport operations return to normal. Reporting for the Newsline World, this is Eva Montero, SMNI News.
Russia plans to resume discussions with the United States on the Ukraine conflict, guided by what it calls the understandings reached between Presidents Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump during their earlier meeting in Anchorage, Alaska. More on this from Joy Tabanao.
Presidential aide Yuri Ushakov said that neither Russia nor the U.S. rejected the informal agreements reached at the Anchorage talks. Moscow also assumes any future discussions will build on that framework, and despite recent tensions, Russia remains open to dialogue with Washington if discussions are grounded in those earlier understandings. A follow-up summit planned on Budapest last month was cancelled by President Trump, who said he didn't want a wasted meeting, but added that he was open to rescheduling it. Moscow responded that both sides sought to avoid wasting time, but stressed that such talks would require careful preparation. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
The Peruvian National Police have seized more than 6 tons of shark fins worth up to $8 million in the Asian market, exposing a major illegal trafficking operation in Callao. More details from Yves Buenafe.
Peruvian police officers uncovered the massive haul of shark fins inside a warehouse in the port city of Callao on the 10th of November. The fins, estimated at over 6 tons, were reportedly bound for illegal export to Asia, where they are used in soups and tonics. Authorities say the operation followed a raid at the Callao fish terminal that led investigators to the warehouse, where 3 suspects were arrested.
La Policía Nacional del Perú, a través de su Dirección de Medio Ambiente, y conjuntamente con la Fiscalía contra el Crimen Organizado, ha ejecutado una importante intervención contra un delito que atenta contra nuestros recursos hidrobiológicos. Estamos incautando más de 6 toneladas de aletas de tiburón, ¿no? Una especie amenazada y que muchas de sus diversas especies de este tiburón, valga la redundancia, están en amenaza de extinción.
Police identified the suspects as members of the criminal group Los Panas, accused of trafficking aquatic species in violation of Peru's penal code. Authorities say the fins were caught from live sharks with their bodies dumped back into the sea.
Pescan los tiburones, le cortan las aletas y arrojan el cuerpo del pez al agua. No lo benefician, solamente se traen las aletas.
Officials estimate the local value of the seizure at about $1.5 million, rising to around $8 million once exported to Asia. The investigation is ongoing in coordination with the Organized Crime Prosecutor's Office. The massive seizure highlights Peru's widening crackdown on illegal fishing and environmental crimes amid global efforts to protect endangered marine species. Yves Buenafe, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
Authorities in Brazil say the death toll has risen to 7 after a powerful tornado ripped through Rio Bonito in the state of Parana, leaving behind massive destruction and hundreds injured. Anjaneta has the latest.
The scale of devastation can be seen as machinery and volunteers clear the debris left by the storm. Officials say 6 people died in Rio Bonito do Iguaçu and 1 in nearby Guarapuava, among them 14-year-old Julia Quapis. Her father, Roberto Quapis, described the unbearable loss after his daughter was fatally injured when the tornado struck a daycare.
E a gente perdeu o que tem mais precioso nessa vida. E não está sendo fácil.
The tornado destroyed about 90% of Rio Bonito, injuring some 750 people and leaving dozens homeless. Authorities say the search and rescue phase has ended, shifting focus to recovery and social aid. 320 new homes will be built for affected families, and financial support of up to 50,000 reais per household will be provided to repair damaged property.
De antemão, primeiro a gente agradece a Deus, porque a gente, hoje eu andando pela cidade depois de muitos dias, desde o dia do acontecido, na verdade, a gente observa que A cidade já começou a ter cara de cidade de novo. E aí isso só acontece graças a vocês, voluntários, as pessoas que estão fazendo doação, as pessoas que têm um coração muito grande.
Support and rescue brigades remain on site as communities rebuild after one of the most destructive tornadoes to hit Paraná in recent years. The state government continues to coordinate relief operations while residents begin the long road to recovery. This is Andy Abrigo, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
Up next, in the Philippines, Senator Imee Marcos warns that witnesses in the Blue Ribbon Committee probe are being coerced to withdraw their statements, including one of the earliest witnesses, Orly Guteza. The probe continues. Zaldy Co is named in an ongoing infrastructure inquiry into flood control projects that may lead to court proceedings. More news when Newsline World returns.
Madalas ka bang napapasobra sa pag-scroll sa phone mo kahit puro masasamang balita ang nakikita mo? Isipin mo ito. Nakahiga ka na sa kama, nagche-check lang ng phone bago matulog. Tapos, hindi mo na malayan, ilang oras ka na palang nagbabasa at nanonood ng mga balita tungkol sa digmaan, sakuna, politika at lahat ng masasamang nangyayari sa mundo. Nakakaramdam ka na ng kaba at pagod. Pero tuloy mo pa rin ang scroll mo. Ang tawag dyan ay doom scrolling. Ito ang habit ng paulit-ulit na pagtingin sa mga negatibo o nakaka-depress na content tulad ng digmaan, krimen o problema sa mundo. Nakaka-stress pero hindi mo pa rin mapigilan. Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ng Texas Tech University, ang sobrang konsumo ng masasamang balita ay nauugnay sa pagtaas ng stress, anxiety at pisikal na sintomas gaya ng pagkapagod at sakit ng ulo. Ayon naman sa Harvard Health, ang doom scrolling ay nagpapataas ng fight or flight hormones tulad ng cortisol at adrenaline na nakakapagpabigat ng isip at katawan. Nakakaapekto ito sa iyong mood, tulog at maging sa mental at physical health mo. At kapag naman puro memes at random na content ang pinapanood mo ng sunod-sunod hanggang sa mawalan ka na ng gana na mag-isip at gumawa ng iba pang gawain, ang tawag naman dyan ay brain rot. Sa Gen Z at tinatawag na internet culture, ang brain rot ay overconsumption o sobrang tagal na panonood ng paulit-ulit, mababaw, magulo o walang saysay na content online hanggang sa parang manhid na ang utak mo. Kapag nasobrahan, syempre, nakakasama. Nawawalan ka na ng focus, nawawala ang motivation, hirap mag-isip ng malalim, parang lutang o foggy ang utak. Masaya sa simula, pero kapag sobra, napapagod ang isip mo. Nahihirapang mag-concentrate at parang lutang. Mas delikado pa ito sa mga bata dahil ang utak nila ay nasa proseso pa ng pag-develop. Kaya mas malakas ang epekto ng doom scrolling at brain rot sa kanila. Maaaring makaapekto sa pag-aaral, pag-iisip at pakikitungo sa iba. Ang higit sa 4 na oras ng screen time araw-araw sa mga kabataan ay konektado sa 35 to 88% na mas mataas na posibilidad ng depresyon, anxiety at stress. Base ito sa isang malawakang pag-aaral sa Brazil. Kaya, maging balanse. Magpahinga sa screen, magbasa, makipagkwentuhan, magdasal, maging present lagi. Alagaan ang iyong isipan. Kung anong itinatanim sa isipan mo, yun ang lalago.
Zaldy Co is among those listed by the Philippine Independent Commission for Infrastructure, which is currently conducting an inquiry into flood control projects that may lead to court proceedings. Paul Montibon for the rest of the report.
Some individuals may end up behind bars this Christmas Amid the ongoing investigation into alleged corruption in flood control projects. This was revealed by DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon following several hours of meeting with members of the Independent Commission for Infrastructure at Camp Crame. According to him, the commission is currently identifying which persons may face court charges.
Base na rin sa sinabi ni Ombudsman kahapon, pretty much sigurado na yun. No? At ako, ang bigang ko personally, doon sa dalawang kaso sa La Union, ay sa Mindoro at sa Bulacan, 26 sa Bulacan and roughly mga 15 ata sa Oriental Mindoro. So doon pa lang, 40 na yun.
One of those named is Zaldy Co, who is currently out of the country.
Right now, I think meron na bang 4, 5 no, na kasong na-file na sa Ombudsman. So yan ang mga unang-unang makukulong. At yan ang ulitin ko, yan yung sa Bulacan, sila Diskaya, sila Hernandez, Alcantara et al. Yan yung sa yung Mindoro na in-announce na rin ni Ombudsman kahapon na mukhang mafa-file nila sa Sandigan Bayan na sa mga susunod na araw. Yan ang kasama si former Congressman Zaldy Co, Sunwest at mga Diskaya din. So, dun pa lang sa dalawang kasong yon, ang bigang ko na halos 40 tao na yung yan ang mga unang-unang makukulong.
Meanwhile, after completing the investigation in the Davao region, the ICI will next focus on Cebu, where several projects under the 2017 Flood Control Master Plan have yet to be implemented.
Alam naman natin, may master plan, hindi ba? Na pinakita yung Pangulo natin nung nag-briefing kami sa mga officials ng Cebu. 2017 yung master plan na yun. Pero, imbes na yung mga proyekto na nakalagay sa master plan ng implement, hindi yun ang mga in-implement. And that started when the master plan was released in 2017. So we have to look at that holistically, no, yung kabuuan nun. So in fact, kanina ka-meeting ko si Sec Babe Singson with Project NOAA, with UP, and with DNR. We're already looking at the project components of the master plan and what were implemented and what were not implemented.
Cebu Governor Pam Baricuatro had earlier questioned the billion-peso budget allocated for flood control projects in her province, saying its impact was not felt during the recent Typhoon Tino. To this day, the public awaits whether anyone will be held accountable and jailed amid the mounting allegations of corruption in the flood control projects. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, reporting for Newsline World, this has been Paul Montebon, SMNA News.
Ahead of the continuation of the controversial Blue Ribbon Committee probe, Senator Imee Marcos claimed that some witnesses are being coerced and threatened into withdrawing their previous testimonies. Among them, she said, is Orly Guteza, one of the earliest witnesses in the case. Troy Gomez will give us the details.
Speaking to reporters, Senator Imee Marcos revealed what she described as an upcoming bombshell, the alleged recantation of several witnesses in the Blue Ribbon hearing, including former Marine Orly Guteza. Guteza had earlier pointed out to supposed irregularities involving former House Speaker Martin Romualdez and former Congressman Zaldy Co.
Na yung Marine. Yun daw ang paputokin, pasabot. Diba? At saka, yung 17 congressman na lang ang hahatakin. Hindi na star witness ang aking pinsan. Yun ata yung original plan eh.
According to Marcos, House Speaker Martin Romualdez backed out from appearing before the committee, contradicting earlier claims that he would appear as a state witness under protection.
Bago ata isip, nahiya din sa sarili. Kasi ang dating narinig ko, magiging state witness, siya ang magiging star witness, bibigyan ng witness protection. Pwede ba naman yun? Linuloko na tayo ng lubus-lubusan.
Marcos also claimed that a pattern of pressure and intimidation is emerging, forcing witnesses to withdraw their testimonies, a move she believes is meant to cover up wrongdoing.
Ang mangyayari ngayon, magre-recant ang mga testigo. Panoorin ninyo, sigurado ako dyan. Isa-isa yan, na biglang babaliktad. Dahil pre-pressure, tinakot ang pamilya, at halos tinutukan ang asawa at anak. Kasi pinakamabigat ang kanyang testimonya. Talaga naman, tinakot ng todo-todo ang mga pobreng testigo. Hindi tama itong gawain nila.
Marcos said the alleged pattern of witness intimidation suggests an attempt to cover up the controversy, claiming that others are now being blocked from testifying.
Syempre, klarong-klaro talaga. At alam naman namin na may iba pang mga testigo na pinipigilan na magsalita at ayaw kumbidahin. Kahit si Gutesa man at yung iba pang Marines ay magbaliktaran. Di ba sinisiraan na siya, naumpisahan na peke daw. Wala naman naniniwala na sa inyo. Linilin lang ninyo ang sambayan ng Pilipino. Pero ang Pilipino hindi na po magpapaloko.
The Blue Ribbon Committee is expected to resume its hearing on Friday. Reporting for Newsline World, Troy Gomez.
Government agencies and private sector have joined hands to revive and further develop the Philippines' shipbuilding and ship repair industry. But the Royal Danish Embassy admits that corruption remains a major deterrent for foreign investors. Jason Rubrico tells us more.
The Anti-Red Tape Authority or ARTA, in partnership with the Royal Danish Embassy in Manila, the Maritime Industry Authority or Marina, and the Department of Transportation or DOTR, held a seminar aimed at revitalizing the country's shipbuilding and ship repair industry. The sector is said to have a strong potential to create jobs and boost economic growth. According to Danish Ambassador Franz Michael Melvin, several Danish companies have expressed interest in investing in the Philippines shipbuilding industry.
I think the Philippines has some obvious advantages that are important to us. First and foremost, it has manpower, it has skilled labor, which is very important in the shipbuilding industry. You see that's why international community is interested in the Philippines as a location.
However, Melvin also acknowledged that foreign investors still face obstacles, including corruption and the challenges of doing business in the country.
I think corruption is a hugely important issue. Denmark is the least corrupt country in the world, and it's the first thing that investors ask me about. It's good governance and corruption. And unfortunately, there are challenges here in the Philippines, which is well known. I'm happy to see that the president and the government have said that they're going to take specific steps to try to improve the situation.
DOTR Assistant Secretary Villamor Ventura Plan emphasized that despite these challenges, the Philippines' geographic and human resource advantages make it a strategic hub for the maritime sector.
Very strategic po ang ating bansa. Gaya na sabi ko, we have the human capital. We have all the skilled professionals here. And secondly, I think napaka-importante rin na tulungan natin ang Pilipinas because we are in a strategic sea route. Very strategic yung sea route natin. I think the issue on corruption really does not discourage our investors, particularly here on investing on our shipbuilding and ship repair industry.
ARTA Secretary Ernesto Perez, meanwhile, assured that the agency is ready to support the sector by fully enforcing the ease of doing business law and promoting digitalization to speed up government processes for investors.
We already have the ease of doing business law, which we are implementing, and ARTA, the Anti-Red Tape Authority, which has this mandate of interconnecting government agencies, are ready to help revitalize this particular industry. We will have a call to action, a policy recommendation, and our directive from the President, and for all services and policies to be streamlined and digitalized.
Metro Shipbuilders and Ship Repairers Association President Jennifer Cuarto is hopeful that the seminar will lead to greater government attention and support for small shipyards in the country.
Ito pa lang yung time na nakikita ko na government is seeing us. Okay. Yes, there's a great hope from the shipbuilding and ship repair industry na matutulungan kami, ma-uplift natin, matutuloy yung modernization and capacity building ng ating mga shipyards, and of course, the skill training, upscaling of our workers.
ARTA vowed to continue consultations and policy actions aimed at revitalizing the shipbuilding industry with the goal of positioning the Philippines as a competitive force in the global maritime value chain. Reporting for Newsline World, I am Jason Rubrico, SMNI News.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. warmly welcomed former United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon during a courtesy call at Malacanang Palace on Tuesday. In their meeting, Marcos Jr. commended Ban for his strong advocacy on climate resilience and sustainability, particularly for nations most vulnerable to disasters, including the Philippines. Ban in turn thanked the President for the warm welcome and expressed sympathy for those affected by the twin typhoons Tino and Uwan, which recently battered parts of the Visayas and other regions. On Monday, the former UN chief attended the Trans-Pacific Sustainability Dialogue, or TPSD, held in Makati City, where he urged the international community to step up support for disaster-prone nations like the Philippines. Marcos Jr. and Ban last met in February 2024, when President Marcos thanked Ban for the continued support of the Global Green Growth Institute, which Ban chairs as President and Council Head. Once known for decades of armed conflict, the municipality of Paticul in Sulu is now embracing a new identity. Officials declared a gun-free and peace-centered community. Prince Tripoli reports.
A historic declaration ceremony took place in Barangay Taglibi, Paticul, celebrating the town's transformation from a center of violence to a gun-free and peace-centered community. The initiative was made possible through the cooperation of the local government led by Mayor Kabir Hayudini, along with the 1103rd Infantry Brigade of the 11th Infantry Division, the 35th Infantry Battalion, the Sulu Police, and other security units. More than just a declaration, officials say it symbolizes the town's collective choice to abandon violence and embrace peace as its new identity. In his message, Paticul Mayor Kabir Hayudini said the town is witnessing the rebirth of a united and peaceful Paticul. Brigadier General Emmanuel Cabasan, commander of the 1103rd Infantry Brigade of the Philippine Army, emphasized that peace is not simply the absence of guns, but the presence of hope, opportunity, and security. For decades, Paticul had been known as a stronghold of insurgency and armed conflict, a place where fear once stood in the way of progress. But with the united effort of the government, the armed forces, police, and local residents, the story of Paticul is being rewritten. From a community of conflict to one of peace and hope. From a town one, Paticul now stands as a symbol of peace, a community choosing unity and hope over fear and division. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Prince Tripoli, your citizen correspondent.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has launched Oplan Contra Baha, a sweeping waterway clearing and dredging campaign designed to ease flooding across Metro Manila by cleaning and deepening esteros and drainage systems. Carlo de la Peña has the details.
The first phase of Oplan Contra Baha, Greater Metro Manila Waterways Clearing and Cleaning Operations, kicked off at Balihatar Creek in Barangay San Dionisio, Parañaque City. President Bongbong Marcos Jr. led the ceremonial launch, describing the initiative as part of a whole-of-government and whole-of-nation effort toward disaster prevention and climate resilience. The program aims to regularly remove trash, desilt waterways, and ensure the proper operation of pumping stations.
Malaking bahagi sa flooding ay ang siltation, ang basura na nagkukumpul-kumpul para hindi na nga makadaan. So, ang una natin kailangan gawin ay linisin lahat ng mga estero.
Marcos Jr. noted that some waterways would need to be dug as deep as 3 meters as their channels have become too shallow. He said the first phase of the operation will last up to 9 months, but assured that the effort will be permanent.
Hindi natin titigilan ito. Kasama na ito sa MOOE ng DPWH, maintenance na kailangan nilang gawin every year.
The president also criticized the poor placement of some pumping stations, saying some have actually obstructed the flow of water instead of helping alleviate floods.
Marami sa mga pumping station natin, mula nang itinayo ay hindi pa gumana kahit minsan. Hindi nag-operate kahit minsan. Imbis na magbigay ng solusyon, ito pa ang naging problema, yung mga pumping station na linagay.
The operation involves coordination among the national government, local governments, and the private sector, including business leaders Manny V. Pangilinan and Ramon Ang, who volunteered equipment and support. Studies suggest the project could reduce flooding by as much as 60% once fully implemented. The first phase alone aims to clear and desilt more than 142 kilometers of waterways and 333 kilometers of drainage systems throughout Metro Manila.
I'm very optimistic that once we get the majority of this done, maramdaman na kaagad natin na pagdating ulit ng tag-ulan next year, malaki na yung mababawasan sa flooding.
The president said Oplan Contra Baha will also be expanded to other flood-prone areas across the country, including Cebu, Bacolod, Rojas City, Cavite, Bulacan, Pampanga, Laguna, Pangasinan, Cotabato, Davao, Cagayan de Oro, and more. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
When we return, Chinese President Xi Jinping hosts Spain's King Felipe VI in Beijing, the first visit by a Spanish monarch in 18 years, boasting long-standing diplomatic ties. South Africa's finance minister rejects U.S. President Donald Trump's claims of genocide against white South Africans, calling them false and dangerous. And in entertainment, Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot receives Israel's prestigious Genesis Prize for her advocacy and humanitarian work. Don't go away, in Newsline World will be back.
Maging alerto at handa tuwing may bagyo. Upang manatiling ligtas, narito ang ilang mahahalagang paalala. Manatili sa loob ng bahay. Iwasan ang paglabas, lalo na kung malakas ang ulan at hangin. Mag-imbak ng pagkain at malinis na tubig. Maghanda ng emergency. Manatiling updated sa lagay ng panahon. Maghanda ng mga flashlight at extra baterya. Panatilihing fully charged ang iyong cellphone. I-secure ang mahahalagang dokumento sa waterproof na lalagyan. Patayin ang kuryente, gas at tubig kung may banta ng pagbaha. Alamin ang iyong local emergency hotlines. Putulin o tapyasan ang mga sanga ng puno na maaaring mabuwal sa malakas na ulan at hangin. Lumikas agad kung inabisuhan ng mga otoridad. Maging ligtas at maging handa sa panahon ng kalamidad. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
South Africa's finance minister has dismissed claims that U.S. President Donald Trump has a country is committing genocide against white South Africans, calling the allegations false and dangerous. Jamel Santos has the story.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana addressed Parliament in Cape Town on Wednesday, denouncing what he called punitive sanctions based on falsehood. He said the country was being targeted amid growing global divisions and political competition. Godongwana also praised members of the Afrikaner community who publicly denied Trump's claim, calling their stance a patriotic call.
Let me thank the many communities here at home and around the world that have rejected the false narrative and the fear, hate, and disinformation they represent, and instead chosen to defend the principles of solidarity and equality. The members of the Afrikaner community who recently came out publicly refusing to be used as a pawn or portrayed as victims provide us with a timely reminder of our responsibility to forge collective prosperity grounded in truth, justice, and mutual respect. They made the call not in our name, and that to me was an important patriotic call.
Trump earlier claimed that Afrikaners are being killed and slaughtered in South Africa, calling it a total disgrace that the G20 summit will be hosted in the country. The US president is expected to skip the G20 meeting in Johannesburg later this month after imposing 30% tariffs on South African goods earlier this year, the highest in Africa. The G20 summit will be held in Johannesburg from 22nd to 23rd of November, with South African hosting world leaders amid heightened diplomatic tensions with Washington. Reporting for Newsline World, Jomo Santos, SMNI News.
On Wednesday, Chinese President Xi Jinping welcomed King Felipe VI of Spain to Beijing, marking the first visit by a Spanish monarch to China in 18 years and strengthening decades-long diplomatic and strategic ties between the two.
President Xi described King Felipe VI as a good friend to the Chinese people and praised the Spanish royal family's contribution to enhancing ties between the two countries. The year 2025 marks the 20th anniversary of the China-Spain Comprehensive Strategic Partnership as well as 52 years of diplomatic relations between the two nations. King Felipe VI highlighted the significance of his visit, saying that the friendship between Spain and China will undoubtedly benefit the people of both countries. The two nations finalized agreements encompassing food safety and phytosanitary regulations, language education programs, and joint cooperation in space and astronomy initiatives. This is the king's first visit to China since ascending the throne in 2014, and the first visit by a Spanish monarch to China in 18 years. Reporting for Newsline World, Kai Villan, SMNI News.
A growing number of yoga studios in Taiwan are welcoming dogs into their classes as Doga, a blend of yoga and dog playtime, becomes the latest wellness craze for young professionals seeking comfort and connection. Jane Cognita has the story.
In Taipei, yoga mats are now shared between owners and their furry companions. Over the weekend, footage captured participants moving through gentle poses as an instructor guided both humans and pets to a lighthearted session of Doga. The instructor explained that the classes attract dog lovers looking for relaxation and stress relief. While Doga started in the United States about 20 years ago, it has recently taken off in Taiwan, where many young people are turning to pets as emotional companions amid declining birth rates. Instructors emphasize that the sessions focus on bonding and mindfulness rather than perfect poses. But some critics say the trend risks commercializing yoga and straying from its spiritual roots. Despite the debate, Doga classes continue to fill up fast, offering not just physical wellness, but also a sense of joy and community for Taiwan's growing population of pet-loving yogis. This has been Jane Cognita, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
In our latest sports update, England captain Ben Stokes has been urged to respect former players' views after describing some critics as has-beens as debate continues over England's preparation for the first Ashes test. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma City Thunder routed the Golden State Warriors 126-102 to remain atop the NBA standings. Carlo De La Peña has more on this.
Former captain Michael Vaughan, alongside Graham Gooch and Sir Ian Botham, has questioned England's decision to play only a single warm-up game in an in-house match against the England Lions ahead of the series opener on 21st of November. Stokes defended the approach, citing changes in modern cricket and a busy international calendar. There are quite a few factors that go into why we can't prepare how the has-beens may be prepared in the past, he said, stressing confidence in his team's preparations. Vaughn, writing in the Telegraph, emphasized the importance of respecting former players' concerns. Just because the has-beens have a different view does not mean these are not valid comments, he said. They are coming from legends of the game who desperately want England to win. Former England assistant Paul Farbrace dismissed suggestions that Stokes was being disrespectful, saying his comments were intended to focus his squad. Ben isn't being disrespectful. He's very respectful of all of the greats that have gone before, Farbrace said. Other former players offered nuanced perspectives. David Gower said a balance is needed between warm-up games and peaking for the test, while Mark Ramprakash described has-beens as an unfortunate choice of words and suggested more explanation from Stokes would have helped. England begin their 3-day warm-up against the Lions on Thursday, aiming for their first Ashes victory on Australian soil since 2010-11. Meanwhile, Maxey, the league's second leading scorer this season, tallied 21 points, and Edwards added 22 off the bench, including a crucial late attempt that set up the winning basket. Kelly Oubre Jr. converted the game-winning putback with 8.7 seconds remaining to seal the victory for the Sixers. Extremely tough, he fought in there, Maxey said of Oubre's effort. We got Justin the good look and KO got the rebound and put it back. Boston's Derek White missed a half-court heave at the buzzer as Philadelphia improved to 7-4 and 2-1 over the Celtics this season, with all 3 games decided by a combined 4 points. In Oklahoma City, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander recorded 28 points and 11 assists, while Chet Holmgren delivered 23 points and 11 rebounds, leading the Thunder to a dominant win over the Warriors. The victory improved OKC's league-best record to 11-1, extending their strong title defense. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo De La Peña bringing you the latest sports news. Grammy-winning Adele is stepping from the stage to the silver screen with her highly anticipated film debut in Tom Ford's Cry to Heaven. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman herself, Gal Gadot, has been honored with Israel's top Genesis Prize for her bold advocacy and humanitarian work. Stella Maurice tells us more.
Adele is finally making a big move into the spotlight, this time on the big screen. The Grammy-winning artist will appear alongside British heartthrobs Nicholas Hoult and Aaron Taylor-Johnson in the upcoming adaptation of Cry to Heaven. The film Cry to Heaven is based on Anne Rice's 1982 novel set in 18th century Italy, exploring the dramatic and emotional world of opera singers and nobility. The project marks fashion icon and filmmaker Tom Ford's return to directing after Nocturnal Animals. Adele's role is still being kept under wraps, but insiders say the film will highlight her musical background in a story that combines passion, art, and tragedy. Filming is reportedly just weeks away, with production set to take place in London and Rome early next year. The film comes from fashion designer and filmmaker Tom Ford, who have said to have written the script himself and will also direct, produce, and finance the project through his own company, Fade to Black. This project marks a major milestone for the Hello hitmaker, who recently concluded her residency in Las Vegas and alluded to pursuing new artistic endeavors outside of music, has reached a significant milestone with this project. Both critics and fans are excited to see if Adele can perform as well on screen as she has on stage. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot proves she's not only Wonder Woman in the movies but also in the life. The Israeli star has been awarded the Genesis Prize, often referred to as the Jewish Nobel, by the Genesis Prize Foundation for her vocal and visible advocacy in support of her country amid the wartime. In her acceptance statement, Gadot declared that she is proud to be a Jew and a proud Israeli. The Wonder Woman star dedicated her award to organizations who will help Israel heal and to people who serve on the front lines of compassion. According to the foundation, Gadot became one of the first global figures to condemn the October 7, 2023 attack by Hamas and publicly call for the release of hostages. She also organized private screenings of raw footage depicting the attack of Hollywood executives in what the foundation described as a bold act of conscience when few in the entertainment industry dared to speak out in support of Israel. Gadot claims she will donate the $1 million prize, which comes with the award, to Israel non-governmental organizations that work to aid communities in recovering from the trauma and devastation caused by the war. Foundation co-founder and chair Stan Polovitz praised Gadot's selection, citing her moral clarity and unwavering love for Israel at great personal and professional risk. This award emphasizes the actress' activism and impact outside of the screen, even though she is well known throughout the world for her box office success and her empowering female-led films. Given the complicated international response to the ongoing conflict, her position has garnered both support and criticism. The date of the formal award ceremony has not yet been announced. This is Stella Maris, your citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest show buzz.
And before we end, may be inspired with the words of the sun. The greatest love is when you are willing to live and die for a cause. And as we keep track of the countdown, there's only 42 days left before Christmas. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Franco Baranda. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.